Tension rises as the battle is about to begin, with one of the challengers mocking the other, doubting a mere commoner's chances of victory. Both fighters are drenched in sweat, their determination evident despite the difficulty of the challenge. The crowd watches eagerly as the first move is made, signaling the start of an intense duel. As the rain pours down, the defeated challenger collapses to the ground, his broken sword lying by his side. The victorious figure approaches calmly, sword in hand, while the crowd explodes, shouting the name Weiss. With admiration and disbelief, the atmosphere is heavy with tension and shock at this unexpected turn of events. Weiss Vincent, known as the Scoundrel Noble, lost everything after his defeat against the protagonist Alan. Used as a shield by the Demon King, Weiss finally met his death, leaving behind a tragic legacy. The scene shifts to a quiet and imposing mansion, its gates standing firmly under a serene sky. Inside, the dark hallway stretches into the shadows, echoing with a haunting silence. A close-up reveals a figure in tears, their breath heavy and trembling, trapped in a moment of deep anguish. Inside the mansion, a cruel figure towers over a kneeling maid. Wielding a whip with a sinister smile, the maid bows deeply, trapped in submission, while the man's eyes glint with cold amusement. The air is thick with menace, foreshadowing a dark power dynamic at play. The protagonist's gaze sharpens as he spots the maid tied up on the floor, her helplessness stark in the cold, empty room. His shock is palpable, a sudden realization occurring as he takes in the sinister scene before him. Confusion and fear wash over both of them as they try to make sense of the strange and unsettling scene unfolding around them. The sudden shift from normality to a disturbing reality leaves the protagonist shaken, questioning everything. The tension in the room intensifies as the truth becomes impossible to ignore. The protagonist's eyes widen in shock as he struggles to comprehend the maid's unexpected beauty. Meanwhile, the maid, blushing and slightly uneasy, softly asks him what is wrong. Sensing his sudden change, the tension between them deepens as memories stir, hinting at a hidden connection. A sudden and terrifying thought seizes him. Could he have become Weiss, the villainous and abusive noble? His shock and confusion heighten as he struggles to accept this disturbing possibility. The weight of this realization threatens to shatter his sense of identity. The protagonist remembers Weiss as the cruelest villain, a ruthless noble who tormented the weak with his power. After losing everything, Weiss became a servant of the Demon King. Ultimately, he was utterly defeated by the protagonist and used as a mere shield before meeting his tragic end. The protagonist's mind races as he recognizes the tied-up girl as Lilith Scarlet, the maid. He painfully recalls Weiss's cruel habit of tormenting her, worsening his horror and self-loathing at the thought of being this terrible man. The protagonist hesitates, wondering if abruptly changing his approach might arouse suspicion. Despite his nervousness, he resolves to begin cautiously untying the girl. Unable to leave her bound any longer, the girl looks at him with a curious and questioning expression as he awkwardly stops for the day. Noticing something alarming on Lilith's neck, the protagonist's concern intensifies as he sees her trembling uncontrollably. Despite his hesitation, he wonders if he should try to heal her and summons his magic, urgently casting a healing spell. The protagonist breathes a sigh of relief, having successfully cast the hidden healing magic he discovered in a secret strategy book. Despite his nervousness, he awkwardly insists it was just practice and not an act of kindness toward Lilith. Meanwhile, Lilith watches him with a calm but piercing gaze, catching him off guard. Lilith, with tears streaming down her face, expresses her deep gratitude to the protagonist, calling him Weiss-sama, with sincere emotion. The intensity of her thanks leaves him speechless, taken aback by her unexpected sincerity. Overwhelmed by Lilith's heartfelt gratitude, the protagonist finally gathers the courage to sincerely apologize for his past actions, promising to change. His expression is a mix of resolve and vulnerability, surprising Lilith and leaving her momentarily speechless. The butler Zevis Aiden nervously holds a tray, sweating as he remembers how the protagonist usually rejected food harshly. His unease grows when the young master unexpectedly calls him, demanding a response. The tense atmosphere underscores the strict discipline within the Vincent household. The protagonist admits he was wrong to treat food with negligence. Acknowledging the perfect seasoning of the meal before him, Zevis watches intensely, his expression a mix of surprise and respect as he addresses the young master with renewed reverence. Zevis explodes with overwhelming emotion, declaring himself deeply honored by the young master's gracious words. Meanwhile, the household staff is visibly moved, praising Weiss with tears in their eyes, despite their sincere reaction. Weiss remains internally skeptical, wondering if they truly see him as having changed or if they are simply overreacting to a simple meal. Reflecting on his past, The young master acknowledges how harsh and difficult the old Weiss must have been. Meanwhile, he opens his wardrobe decisively, ready to reject his former self and embrace a new beginning. Determined to truly transform, the young master steps out with sword in hand, resolute in his vow to change even more than before. His gaze is steady, reflecting the weight of his commitment to this new path. The young master reflects on the upcoming entrance exam for a prestigious academy, a crucial step he must take as a noble at the age of 15. After his defeat in the combat test, his reputation begins to waver, sparking doubts and negative opinions around him. Yet, he clings to hope, believing that the future could still change if he faces this challenge head-on. With a fierce determination burning in his eyes, the young master vows to defy fate, even if it requires every ounce of his strength. He is resolved to avoid the path leading to ruin. Exhausted and drenched in sweat, the young master struggles to catch his breath, the weight of his resolution pressing down on him. Suddenly, a voice calls his name, pulling him from his weariness and igniting a spark of renewed energy. The S-rank adventurer Mikavitas confronts the young master with a piercing question, challenging his commitment. Despite his exhaustion and trembling, the young master struggles to answer, barely able to stand, as Mikavitas suggests taking a break. Mikavitas firmly advises the young master to take proper rest, warning him that rushing now will only earn him the label of a loser. Her sharp gaze and words pierce through the tension, challenging his pride and resolution. Meanwhile, the young master struggles to maintain his composure, sweat dripping down his face as he recalls the pressure of having had to rely on his family's connections to secure a teacher. Introducing Mikavitas, the swordswoman hailed as the strongest in the royal capital, who originally only appears at the end of the game. Although the young master boldly asks her to train him mercilessly, he quickly realizes how truly sadistic and intimidating she is. Weiss receives the item he requested from Lilith and immediately focuses on the inscription on his forehead. As he deciphers the characters, he reveals their meaning: diligence, vowing to push himself to the extreme limits of his training, even unto death. The protagonist explains that Noblesse Oblige is a brutal death game, requiring repeated attempts to overcome its extreme challenges. Although he never properly trained his body, not even in his past life, he understands that neglecting preparation could mean immediate expulsion or even death. The protagonist strives to follow the grueling physical training, knowing that improving basic fitness is essential for mastering swordsmanship and magic, despite the exhaustion. He begins each day with form practice, then runs endlessly to build endurance, and finishes with intense muscle training under the watchful eye of his merciless coach. From dawn to dusk, the protagonist relentlessly pushes his body to its limits, repeating grueling exercises without pause. Sweat and exhaustion mark every moment, but he endures, driven by an unwavering determination. Over and over, he undergoes the punishing cycle, refusing to give in. After 2 weeks of training, the protagonist carefully follows a high-protein diet designed by the young master to support his intense schedule. Although injuries are treated with recovery magic, he knows that proper nutrition is crucial for gaining strength. With Zevis's support, he manages to endure even the most difficult days without faltering. 3 grueling weeks have passed since the start of training, each day stretching endlessly under the weight of relentless effort. The protagonist's exhaustion is palpable, yet he endures, driven by a determination that makes every moment feel like an eternity. As the sun sets, the harsh reality of his journey sets in. This brutal ordeal is only just beginning. Having finally adapted to the grueling physical training, the protagonist decides to summon the magic teacher for guidance. Although exhausted by Milk Sensei's severe regimen, he hopes this new mentor will be kinder. As the door opens, a mysterious figure enters, and the protagonist wonders what kind of teacher awaits him. The magic teacher introduces herself as Milke Vitas, an S-rank adventurer with a commanding presence. Despite the protagonist's hope for a gentler mentor, her severe attitude immediately overwhelms him, prompting a desperate cry, "Not you again!" Milka Vitas coldly asserts her mastery of both swordsmanship and magic, greeting Weiss with a biting remark about their repeated encounters. Meanwhile, 2 nervous onlookers acknowledge Milk's reputation as a magic swordsmanship genius, proficient in 2 of the 4 great magic attributes. Despite Weiss's pleas for a gentler teacher, Milk confidently promises to teach magic kindly, though her intimidating presence suggests otherwise. Under Milk's relentless command, the protagonist struggles to channel more magic power, sweat pouring as he endures the intense training. Despite his desperate pleas for kindness, Milk's stern voice orders him to continue, pushing him even harder than the grueling sword training. The harsh reality of her gentle, teaching style becomes painfully clear. Milk sternly explains that magic requires mana, and the only way to increase it is through relentless and constant training. She orders the protagonist to repeat the exhausting exercises every day until he collapses, pushing him beyond his limits. Despite his desperate protests, her severe regimen shows no sign of easing. From that day on, the protagonist not only endured grueling magic exercises but also began rigorous practical training with wooden swords. Under Milk's watchful eye, he strove to master both disciplines, determined to become stronger despite the non-stop challenge. The protagonist struggles to defend against a swift strike, finding himself clearly exposed to an attack. Despite the harshness of the training, Milk's biting criticism pushes him to acknowledge his flaws. As he collapses from exhaustion, Lilith steps in to heal him, offering support and encouragement to keep moving forward. Though he considers himself lazy, the protagonist is intrigued by his own relentless will to overcome the grueling training. He wonders how someone like him can summon such determination to work so hard. The protagonist reflects on his past life, admitting he was like a living corpse who gave up and fled from challenges. Now, he wonders how he can work with such diligence when he feels no different inside, questioning the true difference between his old and new self. 2 months have passed since the start of training, and the protagonist, drenched in sweat, takes a moment to rest by a peaceful waterfall. Suddenly, a firm hand rests on his head, catching him off guard as he looks up to see Lilith standing by his side, her expression calm yet resolute. Lilith congratulates the protagonist on his rapid progress, gently patting his head as a reward for his accomplishments. Surprised, he wonders if this is what their sensei meant by teaching kindly, while she reassures him that every goal reached will be met with such encouragement. Despite his hard work, the protagonist feels the balance between effort and reward is skewed, comparing it to a poor dosage of the carrot and the stick. Lilith, however, calmly insists this isn't true, leaving him puzzled. Their quiet moment is interrupted by the sudden approach of another figure, drawing their attention. A cheerful maid approaches with a basket, addressing the protagonist with respect and announcing she has brought lunch. Her warm smile brightens the moment, offering a comforting presence. Meanwhile, the protagonist reflects on the balance between encouragement and discipline, acknowledging that he has likely already received much praise from others. Lilith gently reminds him not to neglect the carrot of support that helps him give his best. The maid's joyful expression contrasts with the protagonist's pensive look as he begins to understand. Outside, the peaceful landscape reflects his silent gratitude toward all those who have helped him along the way. The protagonist silently acknowledges the vital roles of those around him. Zevis, who provides the meals, Lilith, who offers constant support, and Milk Sensei, who hardens his heart for his growth. He realizes he couldn't have come this far without their cooperation. The protagonist reflects bitterly on his past, realizing that the old Weiss, much like his former self, was selfish, centered only on himself. Because of this, no one truly supported or reprimanded him, leaving him isolated and misunderstood. Determined to change, he resolves to no longer live solely for himself and to honor those who have supported him. No longer wanting to be broken or lost, he aspires to show his true nature and protect the people who have stood by his side. This new resolution marks a turning point in his journey. With a determined smile, the protagonist commits to avoiding the path of destruction, not just for himself but for all who have supported him, standing firmly by his side. His allies share his resolution, embodying the strength of their united bond. This moment marks the beginning of a new chapter, fueled by hope and an unwavering commitment. Exhausted and drenched in sweat, the protagonist overcomes the grueling challenge with fierce determination. Despite the overwhelming difficulty, he refuses to give up, driven by the unwavering goal set before him. Every step forward is a testament to his newfound strength and resolve. The trio strolls confidently through the bustling city, the lively atmosphere evident as townspeople go about their business. Flanked by 2 captivating girls, the protagonist can't help but wonder if this is what a fun date feels like. Especially here, in this unfamiliar and intimidating territory. Meanwhile, a group of armored men laughs loudly nearby, adding to the vibrant energy of the scene. The protagonist arrives at the city of League Belt, the first major location in the game world. Despite the city's bustling appearance, trouble brews as a fight breaks out. Revealing that security remains as mediocre as usual, the protagonist's sharp gaze suggests he is ready to face the challenges ahead. The protagonist's expression hardens as he demands to know who his opponent will be, signaling his readiness to take on the upcoming challenge. A confident woman with a sly smile steps forward, clearly the chosen opponent. While the protagonist's eyes widen in shock and concern, despite encouragement to look forward to the fight, he cannot shake the feeling of dread washing over him. The tension between them is palpable as the challenge is officially issued. As the protagonist and his companion walk away, A group of shady-looking men nearby takes notice, making lewd remarks about the girl's appearance. Their crude words trigger a warning from someone observing, cautioning them to watch their words toward her and hinting at her dangerous nature. The protagonist reflects on the harsh reality of League Belt Town, known as a den of thugs, and feels a firm resolve to protect Lilith no matter what. Despite his unease with the brutal men nearby, Lilith calmly advises him to ignore them, stating that their presence isn't worth dwelling on. Tension lingers as the protagonist absorbs her words, remaining wary of the danger surrounding them. Lilith's cheerful agreement contrasts with the protagonist's lingering worry, her radiant smile momentarily easing the tension between them. The scene shifts to the Adventurers Guild, buzzing with activity. A hub where various figures gather, exchanging stories and plans, amidst the lively chatter. The brutal men from earlier lurk menacingly, their intimidating presence casting a shadow over the otherwise busy guild hall. The tension in the guild hall intensifies as the brutal men confront the young protagonist, demanding he step outside. Surrounded and outnumbered, the protagonist lowers his gaze, bracing for what comes next. The looming threat is clear, and the crowd watches with bated breath. The protagonist reveals the identity of his opponents, the Boudin brothers, whose heinous crimes, including rape, theft, kidnapping, murder, and slave trafficking, were ignored due to corruption. Despite their extreme criminality, the military police who accepted bribes have now been arrested, clearing the way to confront the brothers without restraint. With determination, the protagonist prepares to act, ready for the battle ahead. A calm voice breaks the tension, addressing Weiss with a blend of concern and honesty. Despite his strong resolve, he lacks actual combat experience, and the speaker insists that facing a real battle is an inevitable step he must take, urging him to get it over with now. Meanwhile, the chaotic scuffle outside sharply contrasts with this quiet, serious moment. The mentor warns that missing this chance to face a real fight now could mean having to face it alone later. With no guarantee of support, she reassures the protagonist that she is there to help if things get dangerous, encouraging him to engage in battle with confidence. Her calm support provides a moment of relief amidst the looming threat. Panic erupts as a desperate voice calls out for Milk, who has disappeared without a trace. Tension rises as a group of fierce-looking men approaches. The streets strangely quiet except for the distant sounds of conflict. The sudden disappearance only deepens the mystery and danger surrounding the unfolding fight. Fear grips him, but backing down is not an option. He steels his courage for the fight ahead. The plan is clear. Neutralize an opponent by cutting off an arm, with no intention to kill. Though outnumbered and uncertain of winning fairly, he acknowledges the hidden skill behind their rough exteriors. The protagonist prepares for the inevitable fight, knowing it could start at any moment if he is dragged into an alley. He reminds himself to devise a solid plan before facing these tough opponents, drawing strength from Milk Sensei's calm advice. He resolves to follow her teachings to survive the imminent battle. As they observe the tense scene outside, the two share a quiet moment of banter. One playfully accuses Milk Sensei of being cruel for pushing their friend so hard, while she insists it's necessary to keep him motivated. Despite her firmness, there's a hint of concern as the protagonist mutters that he might step in if things escalate. The atmosphere shifts when a group of brutal men suddenly recognizes the girl, calling out to her with a mix of surprise and admiration. Their comments reveal they remember seeing her in town earlier, and they can't help but praise her striking beauty. The girl remains calm, her expression unreadable as tension subtly builds around her. The group reveals themselves to be the notorious gang of thieves controlling the area, explaining their dilemma. They are short on girls to keep them company for the night. Meanwhile, the girl's intense, fixed stare hints at a deep and unsettling resolve beneath her calm exterior. A sudden and violent splash of black liquid cuts through the air, marking a sharp and ominous moment. Two men stand side by side with their backs to us as the dark substance drips around them, foreshadowing a grim outcome. One of them casts a side glance, feeling the weight of the situation settle in. The bald man staggers back, clutching his arm in agony as he screams in pain. The shadowed silhouette in the foreground watches with a cold, unreadable expression, while another man branches a weapon, ready to act in the background. Tension spikes as the wounded man reels from a sudden, brutal attack. The young man adopts a determined stance, sword at the ready, prepared to strike as he orders Weiss to take the first step. His focus sharpens, knowing the initial attack is crucial to catching the opponent off guard. The lesson is clear. No matter the skill level, a master of martial arts or magic can fall if caught off guard. The key to survival is striking first, moving before your opponent has a chance to react. This truth resonates as the battle breaks out in swift, decisive action. With lightning speed, the young man launches a brutal counterattack, his sword crashing against the opponent's face with devastating force. The impact is so violent it sends the attacker reeling, dazed and bloodied. His determination is evident. He never hesitates when it comes to making critical decisions in the heat of the moment. The protagonist's swift strike sends his opponent flying, shattering the enemy's confidence. He realizes that waiting for his tomorrow self to handle problems is futile. Time won't solve anything. From now on, every decision must be made in an instant, or the consequences will be dire. With fierce determination, he charges forward, sword in hand, declaring his resolve to cast off his lazy self. This moment marks a pivotal turning point as he fully commits to change and growth. The protagonist's gamble pays off as his swift action overwhelms the enemy. Leaving them defeated and sprawled on the ground, breathing heavily, he shouts his triumph. His strategy was a success. This victory proves that moving first is the key to success. The protagonist listens intently as the confident woman praises a bold and ruthless strategy, cutting off an arm inside the adventurer's guild. As the true proactive approach, another woman supports her enthusiastically, awarding a high score and acknowledging Wise-sama's reputation. Overwhelmed yet respectful, the protagonist quietly addresses them both. The protagonist apologizes nervously after surprising the group with his sudden disappearance. Lilith timidly joins her hands, her expression softening, while the others notice a suspicious stain on her sleeve. When questioned about the blood, she quickly dismisses it as just their imagination, masking a subtle smile. Huddled and terrified, 3 women kneel behind the bar while a bartender watches nervously. Below them, the floor is littered with the bodies of over 20 members of the notorious thief gang, their brutal defeat leaving no room for doubt. The bandits have been severely beaten, left unable to speak, though luckily no one died. With the help of Weiss Vincent, the infamous Boudin brothers have also been captured. The protagonist contemplates this news in silence, a pensive expression crossing his face. Lilith's gaze lingers thoughtfully as she reflects on Weiss Vincent's involvement. A subtle smile playing on her lips, her calm hints at deeper thoughts beneath the surface. This quiet moment carries a silent acknowledgement of recent events and their impact. Captivated by her own beauty, time seems to stand still for the lazy and wicked noblewoman as she embraces her new life. The story continues to unfold after 1.5 years of progress. 1.5 years of grueling training has passed, and the protagonist's power has reached a crushing new level. Sweat pours down his determined face while energy radiates fiercely around him, marking the incredible growth he has achieved. Day after day, the exhausting training became a routine, but the fatigue and drops in stamina that once plagued him are now a thing of the past. His endurance has increased so much that fainting from mana exhaustion no longer occurs. The protagonist reveals a remarkable new ability to detect enemies through walls, illustrating the extent of his magical growth. He feels mana flowing steadily through his body, a clear sign of his considerable progress. Meanwhile, those around him check on his training, confirming that everything is going for the best. The protagonist reflects on the challenge of equally mastering the 4 elemental magics: earth, wind, water, and fire. Despite his progress, he admits to struggling with the intensity of Milk Sensei's Spartan-style training. The sheer effort to balance these elements pushes him to his limits, impressing those witnessing his demonstration. The protagonist acknowledges how brutal Milk Sensei's training is, even more intense than the fights against the Boudin brothers. Observers speculate that such harsh treatment testifies to the protagonist's extraordinary talent, especially since magic is traditionally limited to mastering a single element. Even among elite adventurers like Milk, mastery is limited to only 2 elements. Yet, Wise-sama stands out by wielding all 4 with a rare and exceptional talent. This extraordinary ability, combined with unwavering dedication, is what truly sets him apart from others. An austere figure acknowledges Wise-sama's growth with a rare compliment, calling him truly admirable. Meanwhile, the empty and silent room hints at the heavy burden hidden behind these praises. The tension breaks when someone reprimands Weiss for being too harsh with the wooden sword, while another confronts him about his secret magic practice, despite the stern tone. A sincere curiosity shines through when Weiss is asked to demonstrate his hidden skills. Overwhelmed, Weiss quickly apologizes, torn between fear and determination. Weiss, with sweat on his brow, summons a radiant light in one hand and a swirling darkness in the other, revealing the rare and forbidden elements he has mastered. Behind him, 2 spectators watch in silence, stunned, witnessing a power that few can imagine. When asked why he kept his magic secret, Weiss admits it is still incomplete and that he only wanted to reveal it once perfected. Although uncertain, he now feels ready to complete his original magic, combining both light and shadow elements, before the 2 stunned spectators. As Weiss channels his power, a brilliant and intense aura radiates from him, captivating the admiration of the 2 spectators. They are direct witnesses to the incredible result of his year and a half of hard work. The moment is charged with anticipation as the true extent of his magic begins to unfold. The scene shifts to a large mansion under a starry night sky, where a sophisticated reception is taking place. Inside, guests mingle and converse, their lively chatter filling the elegant hall. Amidst the social buzz, a yawn breaks the atmosphere, hinting at a long night ahead. At the elegant reception, a maid notices Weiss yawning and kindly asks if he stayed up late. He apologizes timidly, acknowledging that yawning might be inappropriate here, while she wonders if his fatigue from the day before still persists. Despite the concern, Weiss assures her he is fine. The protagonist unveils Dark Heal, a unique magic that fuses the cursed poison of the shadow element, Dark Mist, with the healing magic of the light element, Healing Light. This powerful technique simultaneously heals allies within range while continuously inflicting curse damage on recognized enemies. Despite its effectiveness, the mana consumption is immense, leaving him totally exhausted afterward. Weiss admits he still needs more training to increase his mana capacity, while the maid joyfully declares she is going to get some strong alcohol to wake him up. Without waiting for a response, she dashes off with surprising speed, leaving Weiss caught off guard. The protagonist observes the crowd with a sharp gaze, noting the swift movements, almost assassin-like, of a silhouette weaving through the guests. His suspicion grows as he recalls rumors of hidden guards within the ranks of the Vincent family. Taken by surprise, he is suddenly called by name, snapping him out of his thoughts. A striking woman in an elegant dress locks eyes with the protagonist, her flowing hair and determined expression cutting through the lively crowd. The atmosphere changes as her presence demands attention, hinting at a deep connection or an urgent message. Meanwhile, others around them remain oblivious, absorbed in their own business. The protagonist suddenly realizes the identity of this striking woman. Cynthia, the daughter of Countess Violetta. His mind drifts to memories of her radiant beauty, marked by shimmering hair and captivating red eyes, undeniable to anyone who sets eyes on her. Meanwhile, the smirk of another silhouette suggests hidden intentions behind this revelation. Cynthia Violetta, the dazzling main heroine of this game, reveals herself with a confident smile that captivates all who see her. Her radiant presence shines brightly, signaling that this encounter is far from ordinary. As she softly addresses Weiss, a familiar tension floats in the air. It had been a long time. The heroine's teasing words cut through the tension, mocking Weiss's troubled expression by comparing him to a crushed goblin turned into muddy soup. Weiss bitterly reflects on the fact that every character in the game hated him, a harsh truth underscored by his trembling hand. Among them, Cynthia stood out as the one who hated him most, her animosity casting a dark shadow over their history. Weiss lies bruised and broken, revealing that Cynthia herself is responsible for the countless injuries covering his body. Despite his reluctance, he presents himself before her as a member of the Vincent family, haunted by this unexpected and tense encounter. Our hero struggles to stabilize his racing thoughts, remembering that Cynthia's hatred hasn't started yet. We are still before enrollment. A blurry and disturbing memory of the previous Weiss flickers in his mind, leaving him confused and questioning his own actions. Meanwhile, Cynthia's sharp gaze lands on him, her presence causing sudden tension. A chilling flashback reveals Cynthia's ruthless grip, silencing Weiss as she wields a sword, her eyes cold and unyielding. The wide, staring eye of the shadowed figure adds a haunting intensity to the memory, highlighting the fear and pain etched in the past. Cynthia lashes out with venomous words, accusing him of abusing his noble status to force himself upon her and soil her with his filthy hands. Her cold and biting insult hits him deeply, calling him a trash noble. While his mind reels, overwhelmed by Cynthia's hatred and confusion at Weiss's unexpected actions, the tension between them coils into a suffocating and unbearable confrontation. Overwhelmed by guilt, he bows deeply to Cynthia, offering sincere apologies for his shameful behavior. Despite his genuine regrets, he doubts he will ever be forgiven. While Cynthia's calm expression hints at a more complex judgment, the surrounding crowd watches the tense exchange, whispering among themselves. He bows deeply, surprised by Cynthia's unexpected reaction, and secretly hopes this gesture will calm her anger and reduce the risk of his own downfall. Observing her calm demeanor, he feels she has softened, if only a little. Silently, he resolves to find the right moment to leave, while secretly wishing to reconnect with the Cynthia he once admired. The protagonist reflects on the unbridgeable gap separating him from Cynthia, comparing their relationship to opposing forces of light and darkness that will never truly cross. Despite his deep desire to form a bond, he accepts the painful reality that their paths must remain separate. As they move away hand in hand, their gazes lock in a silent and charged moment that speaks much more than words. The bustle continues around them, but their attention is solely on each other, caught between lingering emotions and unspoken truths. In a soft but assured tone, she links her arm with his and asks if he would like to dance, thus breaking the tension between them. The moment feels delicate, charged with unconfessed feelings, as they stand together amidst the swirling music and dancing figures. A serene afternoon sets the scene as two silhouettes share tea under a garden gazebo, the soft chirping of birds filling the air. The calm is interrupted by the young man's sudden realization. Why is Cynthia here, at his home? The memory unfolds. During a formal ball, Cynthia unexpectedly invites him to dance, revealing that she is aware of the changes he has undergone. Her knowing smile contrasts with the young man's perplexed expression, hinting at a deeper understanding between them. It becomes clear that Cynthia is aware of his rigorous training to enter the academy. Likely via rumors circulating among the nobles as they dance, she delicately probes his memory regarding that pivotal day, sensing that he does not remember much. The mention of the attempted assault takes him completely by surprise, leaving him bewildered and uncertain of how to respond. His nervous excuses contrast sharply with the intensity of the memory evoked by Cynthia, deepening the tension between them as they continue their dance. As the dance ends and applause fills the room, Cynthia leans in close, teasing him with a mischievous smile as she reminds him of his own words, that he loved her, leaving him flustered and caught off guard by her audacity. While Cynthia casually bids him farewell, the protagonist reflects on how she stole his heart that day before disappearing, leaving everything in suspense. Meanwhile, a new figure is introduced. Weiss's father, Agito Vincent. Standing sternly with his men, his expression unreadable, the story hints that this is far from over. The protagonist is stunned to receive a letter from his father, revealing that Cynthia will be coming to his house for dinner. Panic sets in when he realizes she has already arrived outside, leaving him overwhelmed by this sudden turn of events. Tension rises as the servants nervously prepare, sensing the arrival of the Weiss-sama family. Meanwhile, the protagonist discovers another letter from Weiss's father, deepening the mystery. The scene shifts to a tranquil gazebo where two silhouettes are seated, marking the transition to the present moment. The protagonist reflects on the fact that Cynthia was initially destined to be with Alan, but he cannot afford to get close to her. Despite his happiness in sharing tea with someone he appreciates, he fears that if he gets closer to Cynthia, the events involving Alan will be erased, leaving the future uncertain. The protagonist struggles with the fear that altering the future will deprive him of his ability to act according to the known scenario. He realizes that winning against Alan and taking Cynthia away from him would completely disrupt the plot, forcing him to maintain a delicate balance and keep the perfect distance to avoid ruining everything. She confronts him, reminding him of his own words about love at first sight, asking if he has forgotten that too. With a soft, knowing smile and a slight blush, she confesses that even she would not be opposed to their feelings intensifying. Her words hang in the air, challenging the protagonist's guarded heart. The protagonist is caught off guard, sweating nervously as the young girl's sudden radiance startles him. Her unexpected reaction contrasts with her usual noble appearance, revealing a softer, more vulnerable side that surprises him deeply. The protagonist anxiously realizes that Cynthia's tender nature could become a problem, knowing that once in love, her devotion is unwavering, despite his efforts to diminish her affection. He cannot help but notice that his own feelings are increasing unexpectedly. Cynthia's shy and cute side shines through, making the situation even more complicated as his heart races. The protagonist lets out a loud and embarrassing groan, causing him to panic as he tries to compose himself. Meanwhile, the maid calmly approaches with a tea tray, addressing him politely, ignoring his state of distress. Lost in her own thoughts, Cynthia's heart beats uncontrollably as she whispers how cute Weiss-sama is, her affection visibly increasing. Meanwhile, the protagonist realizes she is desperately infatuated and knows he must act fast before things escalate. As the maid serves the tea, the conversation turns toward the serious subject of their engagement, setting the stage for what is to come. The conversation turns toward Weiss, described as handsome but shy in some respects. Much like the speaker, despite his problematic nature, the speaker has taken swift action to resolve the issue surrounding the engagement of Weiss and Lady Cynthia, showing confident resolve. The men build a sandcastle tunnel with surprising enthusiasm, while one of them wonders if Weiss actually approves of their plan. The father confidently asserts that he can read his son's wishes with a single glance, urging the others to finish the tunnel instead of complaining. Meanwhile, two girls watch nervously from the sidelines, sensing something ominous in the scene. Taken aback, the young woman explodes in frustration, demanding a clear explanation about the engagement. Her sharp outburst contrasts with the stunned and sweating expression of the man in the foreground, while in the distance, a carriage drives away under the evening sky. The protagonist reveals that his father's arrangement was far more serious than a simple tea reception. It was about his engagement to Cynthia. Unlike typical noble marriages dictated by political motives, his father's agreement with the Violetta family aimed to make him truly happy. Yet, the father's absence left him uncertain about the man behind this decision. The protagonist reflects on his father's nature, describing him as an excessively indulgent parent, symbolized by the overflowing candy he carries. This indulgence helps him understand why Weiss, once innocent, eventually became a villain. Meanwhile, a maid nervously calls out to Weiss, sensing the weight of the moment. Tears stream down the maid's face as she desperately pleads with Weiss to find happiness with Violetta-sama, her voice trembling with sincere emotion. A stern figure announces the day's training task: to pursue Lilith, catching Weiss off guard. The weight of the situation intensifies as the truth behind Lilith's tears is revealed. Her grief stems from losing the man she supported for over a year to a mysterious young lady who suddenly appeared. Although the engagement is beyond Weiss's control, he is warned not to ignore Lilith's sadness. The stern figure issues a brutal ultimatum. Weiss must return to the manor with Lilith, or face death as punishment. Determined, Weiss rushes off, shouting his obedience, while internally acknowledging the debt he owes Lilith and the inevitability of her reaction to the engagement. As they race through the narrow canyon, Weiss reflects on how Lilith's unwavering support pushed him to overcome his own laziness. Her presence is the driving force behind his determination to change. Weiss calls out desperately to Lilith, confessing that his strength comes from her support, but she pushes him away, overwhelmed, shouting to be left alone, despite all his efforts to catch her. He is stunned and frustrated that he cannot reach her, his determination clashing with the painful distance growing between them. Weiss calls out desperately, chasing Lilith as she runs ahead, their voices echoing through the wide canyon, despite his pleas for her to listen just once. A painful distance sets in. Lilith, struggling with her own feelings, forces a smile and insists that everything is fine, resigning herself to her role as a mere servant. Weiss passionately declares that Lilith is much more than just a servant to him. She is someone precious. As he leaps through the trees, he reveals that the engagement was imposed by his father and not his own choice, desperately trying to break down the walls between them. Weiss explains that at the Noblesse Magic Academy, only the highest-ranking nobles are allowed to have an assigned servant as an exception. With fierce determination, he declares his intention to take Lilith with him because she is the one he trusts most. Lilith's eyes fill with tears as she begins to realize the depth of his feelings. Lilith confronts Weiss with a mix of determination and vulnerability, asking if he truly seeks her. As they move quickly through the surroundings, she challenges him, stating that this pursuit will never end. He will continue to chase her forever. Exhausted and on the verge of losing consciousness, the protagonist perseveres despite the pain with fierce determination. Lilith's tearful gaze reveals her deep emotional turmoil as she encourages him, affirming her resolution. Tension rises as the chase continues, with neither ready to give up. With a soft but resolute smile, she declares her commitment to becoming Weiss-sama's mistress, her heart clearly set on this new bond. The wind carries dead leaves around them, while the weight of her words lingers in the air. In the distance, Weiss stands exhausted, the gravity of her decision weighing on them both. Gathering his remaining strength, the protagonist leaps from the cliff, calling out to Weiss-sama with unwavering resolution. Lilith quickly follows, propelled by determination as they both plunge toward the unknown below. The moment crackles with urgency and the promise of what lies ahead. The two silhouettes fall through the vast sky, their forms appearing small against the landscape stretching out below. The serene river winds through dense forests and rocky cliffs, untouched and peaceful. As the heroes descend toward the unknown, the weight of their leap hangs heavy amidst the tranquil beauty of nature. In a tender embrace, she reassures Weiss-sama, promising to keep their bond a secret. Her soft smile and kind words carry the vow to do her best, sealing their new connection with silent determination. A quiet, intimate moment passes as she gently teases him about their secret love, her words floating in the air. His blushing, hesitant response reveals the weight of their hidden feelings. Below, their fall ends with a massive splash, breaking the stillness of the forest river. The protagonist braces himself, sweat beading as he faces the menacing, jagged entrance carved into the rock. Flanked by two others, he stands ready, determination shining in his eyes. The moment of truth is near. The entrance exam awaits. The protagonist reflects on the whirlwind of recent events. He is now engaged to Cynthia, while inexplicably becoming Lilith's secret lover. The complexity of the situation leaves him helpless, struggling to make sense of it all. Deciding to intensify their training, she confidently suggests moving beyond the basics to real combat. Her determined expression signals that things are about to get serious. The protagonist watches her, torn between anticipation and nervousness. Just when things seemed complicated enough, Lilith and Cynthia join the training. Both have sought guidance from Milk Sensei, preparing for the entrance test scheduled in a few months. Cynthia's talent is undeniable. She is capable of passing the test without effort. Lilith, who was initially supposed to be the protagonist's assistant, didn't need to take the test either, but she chose to join him academically. Although neither needs training, they redouble their efforts, displaying a determination that could make Lilith even more formidable than before. The training session officially begins as soon as the order is given. The protagonist and Cynthia will face off first. Both exchange determined looks, tension rising as they prepare for the duel. Without waiting for the official signal, Cynthia lunges forward with confidence, taking the protagonist totally by surprise. His shock is evident as she moves with sharp and precise intent, proving she is ready to push her limits from the very first moment. Cynthia's rapid strike forces the protagonist into a desperate defense. Their swords clashing with explosive force, the intensity of their duel radiates, making the ground shake beneath their feet. His shocked expression reveals how unexpected and fierce her assault is. Cynthia taunts Weiss with a confident smile, reminding him that the most important element of a fight is the first move. As she speaks, Weiss's eyes widen in shock. She has disappeared, leaving him vulnerable and on high alert. The protagonist's eyes widen in shock as he senses an imminent attack. Cynthia suddenly reappears, launching a fierce counterattack with her sword pointed straight at him. Tension rises a notch as he prepares, narrowly blocking the powerful blow. Cynthia reveals her mastery of ice magic, infusing power into her legs to glide and strike with incredible speed. Her signature technique allows her to attack quickly from unexpected angles, exploiting the blind spots in her opponent's defense. The protagonist braces himself, struggling to keep up with her relentless assault. In a sudden turn of events, the protagonist's wooden sword accidentally strikes Cynthia's head as she moves at high speed, turning his intended light tap into a powerful counterattack. Cynthia holds her head, overwhelmed, while the protagonist panics and quickly apologizes for the unexpected blow. Cynthia admits her frustration, surprised that her attacks were dodged so easily for the first time. Despite her experience with duels at home, meanwhile, Lilith cheerfully offers healing magic, which Cynthia accepts with gratitude. The group then begins to discuss how the protagonist managed to read Cynthia's ultra-fast movements, curious if it was a stroke of luck or something deeper. The protagonist is surprised to learn he must face Lilith next, wondering if he really has to fight again. Despite his fatigue, Lilith encourages him to stop complaining and get ready. The two prepare for the duel, with Lilith expressing her impatience for the match. Though he initially thought the duel with Lilith would be easy since she is just a servant, the protagonist remembers witnessing her swift and unexpected actions that contradict this assumption. He realizes that if he lets his guard down, facing her could prove fatal. The protagonist readies himself as Lilith launches a flurry of rapid and precise strikes, each creating shockwaves that ripple through the air. His eyes widen in shock, realizing the true speed and danger of her attack. The intensity of the duel climbs instantly, leaving no room for hesitation. The protagonist struggles to block Lilith's fierce and precise strike, gritting his teeth as the force pushes him back, sweat beads on his face. His eyes burning with determination despite the overwhelming pressure. Lilith moves with deadly grace, pressing the attack relentlessly as their swords clash with a sharp ring. The protagonist's intense concentration reveals that his ability to anticipate Lilith's movements was no mere fluke. Observers note that having seen through Cynthia's rapid attack confirms a deep understanding of Lilith's true strength. This revelation shakes their certainty, highlighting how formidable Lilith has become. Although she is just beginning to learn magic, she already surpasses him in speed and wields the sword impressively. Realizing the gap in their skills, the protagonist knows he must take this fight seriously or face defeat. With fierce determination, the protagonist channels his energy into a powerful healing spell, casting the incantation, Dark Heal. The glowing magic circle beneath him pulses intensely, signaling a desperate attempt to recover and turn the tide of battle. Lilith watches cautiously, aware that this move could shift their deadly duel. Lilith's eyes widen in shock when she recognizes the magic circle. The protagonist's original spell, Dark Heal, she realizes it is a unique skill that not only heals allies within its boundaries, but also inflicts continuous curse damage on enemies, revealing the true complexity of his power. The protagonist realizes he must quickly escape the magic circle, as casting Dark Heal requires the use of both hands. Having dropped his wooden sword, he finds himself completely defenseless, vulnerable to any attack while he focuses on the spell. Tension rises as his opponent sees this rare opportunity. Knowing he won't survive a long-range magic assault if he flees the circle, the protagonist decides to take a bold risk. Having no other option, he lunges forward, determined to seize this fleeting opening and strike while he is vulnerable. Meanwhile, his opponent watches him with a confident and calculating smile. Seizing the moment, the protagonist throws himself forward with all his might, clashing his wooden sword against his opponent's blade despite his lack of defense. His fierce determination shines through as the two weapons collide with a metallic sound, the tension between them palpable. The opponent crouches confidently behind a shimmering hexagonal barrier, revealing the true strength of his magic as the protagonist's wooden sword bounces off harmlessly. He explains that his unique spell merges the enduring power of dark magic with the protective properties of light magic, calling it the absolute barrier. Then, his gaze sharpens as he hints at an additional power he uses: his ominous dark eye. Although his body struggles to match Lilith's speed, he relies on the combined power of his dark eye and his absolute barrier to keep defending as long as his mana allows. His confidence grows, knowing his magic can hold the line against her relentless attacks. An urgent cry suddenly breaks the tension, ordering Weiss to cancel the magic immediately. Confused, he turns just as Lilith falters, her body swaying unsteadily as dizziness overwhelms her. Alarmed, Weiss rushes toward her as she collapses to the ground. The group gathers around Lilith, who sits weakly against a tree, marking a clear defeat for Weiss. One of them reassures Weiss that an advanced potion has been given to Lilith, promising her recovery despite the remedy's rarity. Concern and curiosity hang in the air as they discuss the unexpected outcome and the mysterious magic employed by Weiss. The group discusses the hidden effects of the dark heal magic, revealing that it inflicts multiple debilitating debuffs on anyone who enters the magic circle. These include decreased movement and attack speed, reduced physical and magical defenses, mana drain, and general physical weakening. Weiss explains that Lilith's rapid mana depletion and collapse were caused by these cumulative effects, given her limited mana reserves. The protagonist reveals a powerful ability. By stealing stats from enemies inside his magic circle, he doesn't just weaken them, he strengthens himself. He explains that the more enemies trapped inside, the stronger he becomes, and he can even extend these buffs to allies he recognizes. The group falls into silence, their expressions darkening as a sudden realization hits them. The protagonist, sweating and wide-eyed, wonders if now is truly the right time to say the words he has long desired to speak. Tension mounts as he struggles to find the courage to recite the ultimate line that everyone dreams of saying after being reincarnated in another world. With a smirk, he challenges Weiss to a duel, masking his nervousness while asking if he said something wrong. Tension crackles in the air as the challenge remains suspended between them, signaling a pivotal moment. With a powerful impact, Cynthia and Lilith make their entrance into the training, shaking up the scene as the intensity increases. Their arrival marks a new chapter in the protagonist's relentless preparation. Finally, the moment everyone has been waiting for arrives. The entrance test for the prestigious Noblesse Magic Academy. As the doors swing wide, the protagonists step forward, their destinies about to intertwine in this decisive challenge. The stage is set for their paths to finally cross. With a mischievous smile, he nonchalantly reveals his plan to train a pretty little girl he met to become his fourth wife, leaving the girls around him stunned and speechless. The Noblesse Academy of Magic stands tall, grandiose, and imposing, its vast campus serving as a symbol of prestige and power. This renowned institution is the heart of magic education in the kingdom, where only the most talented and the nobles gather. Today marks the beginning of the entrance exam, a crucial step for those seeking to join its ranks. Tensions rise when a burly man accuses the protagonist of staring at him, his anger quickly escalating into a physical threat. Just as the situation seems about to explode, a calm but intense gaze from another figure halts the confrontation, signaling that this challenge will not be taken lightly. Whispers ripple through the crowd as the famous Weiss makes his entrance, instantly drawing attention and speculation. Rumors circulate about his dark reputation and the striking women accompanying him, sparking curiosity and gossip among the spectators. As soon as the name Weiss Vincent is uttered, fear grips a man who quickly begs for mercy. Desperate to avoid further abuse, Weiss coldly dismisses him, making it clear he will not tolerate any lack of respect. Despite his calm exterior, Weiss reflects on how his notorious reputation still precedes him, even after his reincarnation. 2 years of intense training have passed, and the protagonist resolves to be as friendly as possible to change the perception others have of him. Now, on the day of the Noblesse Academy of Magic entrance exam, He faces the daunting task of defeating a certain man. Meanwhile, a grateful young man thanks him for saving him, highlighting the impact of his growing reputation. With a nervous but sincere smile, the young man steps forward and introduces himself as Alan, extending his hand in a gesture of friendship and trust. As the tension of the entrance exam looms, a confident student approaches Weiss, calling him by name and offering a friendly challenge to do their best. Weiss responds to this gesture with a serious look, silently accepting the unspoken bond of rivalry. The moment culminates in an outstretched hand, symbolizing mutual respect and the hope that they both succeed in the trials ahead. Just as Weiss reaches out to shake it, a bell rings in the background, signaling the imminent start of the exam. The atmosphere shifts as two girls remind Weiss that the warning bell has sounded, urging him and Alan to hurry and prepare. With a quick nod, Weiss acknowledges the urgency, bracing himself for the challenge ahead. Cheryl Elias, Alan's childhood friend, softly expresses her gratitude, her eyes reflecting a mix of concern and warmth. Her unexpected presence and kind words catch Weiss off guard, stirring a strange feeling within him as she gently touches Alan's arm. Meanwhile, the urgency of the exam pushes others forward, leaving Weiss to process this moment of quiet connection. A sudden hesitation seizes Weiss as he is almost about to take Alan's hand. A simple gesture that unsettles him deeply in an unexpected way. Even the act of speaking to Alan triggers an unbearable sense of unease, leaving Weiss confused and wondering why he feels this way. Although he does not hate Alan, Weiss's objective is clear: to defeat him during the exam while maintaining a respectful distance. Yet, despite his intentions to remain friendly, a lingering unease gnaws at him, growing stronger as the practical combat test approaches. An imposing figure steps forward, adjusting his glove with steely determination, flanked by two determined allies whose expressions reflect his unwavering focus. Together, they emerge from the shadowed archway, ready to face whatever challenges await. Their presence radiates a powerful blend of confidence and preparation, signaling that the next phase of the exam is about to begin. A fierce determination ignites within him as he confesses his desire not only to defeat his rival, but to crush every opponent standing before him. The weight of this ambition hangs heavy, revealing a resolve that extends far beyond a simple battle. His gaze sharpens, fueled by the overwhelming urge to dominate everyone here. The rules are clearly established. Victory is achieved by knocking an opponent out of the ring or forcing them to surrender. Despite the tension, one of the commanders assures everyone that he will intervene if things become too dangerous. Meanwhile, the group jokes about their ill-fitting uniforms, highlighting their young stature and the pressure they are under. The promise of new, well-fitting uniforms offers a small comfort amidst the harsh reality of the academy, where many students have already abandoned their gear and disappeared. Despite this, the preparation impresses the group, making them feel as though their journey has truly begun. One of them reflects on the brutal life that awaits them after entering this academy, a somber acknowledgement of the challenges ahead. The Noblesse Academy stands as the most prestigious yet most ruthless institution in the kingdom, where failure means immediate expulsion. Exhausting lessons cost many their lives, forcing countless students to abandon their uniforms and their dreams. Despite this, the protagonist notes that successfully getting in isn't the hardest part. It's surviving that truly tests them. As the rain begins to fall, the tension in the air thickens. The examiner calls the next candidate, Weiss Vincent, signaling the relentless progression of the grueling trials. Among the gathered students, Alan steps forward, ready to take on the challenge ahead. The rain intensifies, drenching both candidates as they lock eyes, their determination unwavering despite the difficult conditions. Officials instruct everyone not currently in a match to head toward the spectator seats, signaling the start of the next brutal trial. The tension is palpable as the fighters prepare to clash under the relentless downpour. As rain falls heavily around the arena, both fighters stand under cover. Intrigued by this suddenly dry spot, Alan greets Weiss with a mix of surprise and resolve, determined to make this training match memorable. Supporters shout from the stands, urging both fighters to give their best as the match is about to begin. The tension breaks when one fighter screams in pain, clutching his side while visibly shaken. The crowd, including the spectators, reacts with shock and concern, their expressions reflecting the sudden turn of events. Meanwhile, the other fighter remains resolute but frustrated, gripping his sword tightly as the stakes of the battle become painfully clear. A fierce determination ignites in the protagonist, his eyes glowing with an uncontrollable urge to crush his opponent. Despite the rain and tension, he moves forward with a wild smile, unable to suppress the overwhelming emotion driving him forward. Meanwhile, the other fighter remains confused, sensing something is wrong without knowing what it is. The entrance exams being over, A tense meeting begins as a man demands to know exactly what Zevis Aldine and Milke Vitas did to Weiss. The atmosphere is heavy with unspoken questions, setting the stage for a crucial revelation. The older man reflects with disbelief on Weiss Vincent's prodigious feat, having broken all previous records during every exam. Meanwhile, Weiss himself, soaked and bloodied, wears a confident smile, embodying the weight and pride of his unprecedented accomplishment. The director of the Noblesse Magic Academy, Gilles, solemnly questions those present about the identity of those who raised Weiss and what they think of his dangerous abilities. Tension rises in the room when a man respectfully asks for a moment to speak to the director, while the others watch in silence, their faces marked by unspoken thoughts. Darius, an instructor at the Noblesse Magic Academy, specifies that although Weiss's scores are the highest in the Academy's history, he technically hasn't broken any records, since he is tied for first place with the student who arrived last year. Meanwhile, others humbly downplay their role in Weiss's success, insisting they only provided basic support or training. A man calmly reveals that he supported Weiss by giving him plenty of protein, soy, dairy, and chicken strips to fuel his growth. Another, shocked, questions the simple explanation, unable to believe that such basic nutrition could lead to Weiss's extraordinary feats. As she calmly drinks from a large mug, someone urgently asks to know why she is drinking at this very moment. Especially in front of the director, the scene changes to reveal her passed out on the floor, the mug by her side, while the others react with shock and confusion at the alcohol she brought herself. Surprised by the pouring rain, the injured protagonist leans heavily against a worried ally who supports him with a firm hand. Despite his battered state, he clings to his sword, showing his unwavering determination. The weight of the moment settles in as a voice softly admits, "Alan, he almost died." The man admits that Alan was exceptionally talented and that he had personally trained him, but he angrily blames Weiss for the current situation. Despite the pouring rain, Weiss wears a confident, almost arrogant expression, visibly unperturbed by the accusation. Weiss coldly calls out Darius on his jealousy, warning him that it hardly suits him, while the latter grinds his teeth, clearly frustrated. Their tense exchange is abruptly interrupted by a third voice demanding they stop, as blame is cast on Weiss's supervision. An elderly figure addresses Weiss solemnly, insisting that Alan would never use his power against the weak. Outside, a group gathers, reflecting on how Alan has changed, becoming a man of true strength and courage through sincere effort rather than relying solely on his abilities. The mood changes when two joyful women, one dressed as a maid and the other exuding confidence, wave letters with radiant smiles. Behind them, a young man quietly reads a note, looking thoughtful, as the doors open, hinting at a new beginning. The new instructor, Chloe, formally welcomes the students to the Noblesse Magic Academy, congratulating them on their enrollment. She introduces herself as the class head and expresses her eagerness to teach them. As the new instructor begins her welcome, a mix of emotions crosses the students. Curiosity, nervousness, and determination are all reflected in their eyes. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, marking the true beginning of their journey at the Noblesse Magic Academy. The moment intensifies as the new instructor's voice rings out, officially welcoming everyone to the Noblesse Magic Academy. Determination and resolve burn in the eyes of the students, ready to face the challenges ahead. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, signaling the true commencement of their magical adventure. The protagonist stands with confidence, a slight smile on his lips as he reminisces about a pivotal moment. His eyes shine with quiet pride as he remembers defeating Alan on the day of the exam, marking a significant milestone in his journey. At the time, driven by Weiss's emotions, the protagonist almost defeated Alan, but no matter how many times he knocked him down, Alan got up stronger every time. Although the victory was decisive, it took much longer than expected to take him down. As the protagonist reflects on the true meaning of being a protagonist, a sudden snap breaks the moment, drawing everyone's attention. A shock ripples through the room as a mysterious light emanates from the back of a hand, hinting at the unfolding of an unexpected power. A mysterious figure reveals that each person has been granted 1,000 points, a measure that will stay with them until graduation. The students exchange confused looks, unsure of the significance of these points. Adjusting his glasses, the character begins to explain the importance of this new system. The mysterious character reveals that while everyone starts with 1,000 points, Weiss Vincent received 2,000 based on his test results. This revelation shocks the students, causing whispers of surprise and disbelief throughout the hall. Confused and skeptical, the students demand a clear explanation of what these mysterious points mean and why Weiss received double. The teacher, calm and composed, decides that a practical demonstration will convey the concept better than mere words. The teacher orders the students to take wooden swords and head to the training grounds, signaling the start of a concrete demonstration. The students, tense and sweating, prepare for what lies ahead. The teacher announces the start of the combat test, warning the students that their journey will not be easy. She reminds them that any student whose points drop to 0 will be immediately expelled, leaving the group stunned by the harsh reality of the challenge ahead. The teacher's voice cuts through the tense silence as she declares the start of the combat test, her words heavy with consequences. The students wait in stunned silence, the weight of the challenge setting in. As soon as someone's points reach 0, they are eliminated for good. The atmosphere is thick with determination and dread as the battle for survival begins. With a calm but determined look, she acknowledges the void left by Weiss's departure and prepares for what lies ahead. Surrounded by defeated opponents and servants in her care, she sips her drink, ready to face the brewing storm with renewed resolution. A confident young man named Louis Meissen approaches Weiss, praising his incredible performance during the simulated combat, which apparently earned the highest score ever recorded. Despite Louis's friendly demeanor, Weiss and his companions immediately give him the cold shoulder, giving off a clear "don't talk to us" vibe. Once a brilliant and promising student who graduated at the top of his class, Louis now sits defeated on the battlefield. A stark contrast to his former image. As the dust settles, an imposing figure approaches him, demanding his attention with a scathing reminder. Louis Meissen, battered and on his knees, is coldly declared expelled by the imposing figure standing behind him. The brutal verdict pierces the tense silence, marking a devastating downfall for the once promising soldier. The surrounding fighters remain tense as the weight of the moment sinks in. Time seems suspended as the truth comes to light. Louis has been completely outmatched and defeated by Alan. Shock and disbelief spread among the spectators, capturing the brutal reality of the combat's outcome. In the silent refectory, Louis sits alone, burdened by the weight of his failure, staring at his meal. Frustration and uncertainty cloud his mind. He is lost, no longer knowing which direction to take. The contrast between the lively memories of the past and his current isolation is palpable. The main heroine has unexpectedly become the protagonist's fiancé, while Louis, who was supposed to stay until graduation, has already left on the first day. Everything descends into unforeseen chaos, and darker emotions begin to stir within the original Weiss, foreshadowing even more troubling developments. Since his meeting with Alan, a dark force within him has been pushing him toward aggression. Not just against Alan, but against everyone around him. Although he intended to play along and cautiously earn everyone's trust, he now struggles against a growing urge to crush them all, fearing he will end up hated like in the original story if he yields to these emotions. The protagonist's dark desire to crush everything is met with a calm acceptance by the main heroine, who quietly agrees if that is truly what he wants. Her hesitation and lack of reaction only strengthen the young woman's determination. While the tension between them remains palpable beneath the surface, meanwhile, the chef's simple gratitude for the meal contrasts sharply with the heavy emotions weighing on the room. The heroine firmly reminds him of the harsh reality they face at the Noblesse Magic Academy, where pity is a weakness. Her words catch him off guard, highlighting the brutal world they inhabit and the necessity of strength. The heroine firmly acknowledges the harsh reality of their world, agreeing that cruelty is necessary to survive the brutal competition. Yet, she passionately declares her unwavering support for the protagonist, emphasizing that in the end, following his own desires is what truly matters. Meanwhile, the chef's repeated offers of food underscore the contrast between the simple kindness surrounding them and the heavy burdens they carry. With a confident smile, she challenges him to embrace his role as her fiancé by having the determination to defeat all others. Her both playful and firm encouragement reveals her faith in his potential to rise above the competition. When indecision takes hold of him, the heroine suggests leaving fate to a coin toss. A simple yet profound way to relinquish control. The protagonist reflects on this, recognizing that destiny might be the only remaining option in a scenario already unraveling. Between resignation and resolution, he decides to stop overthinking and let the coin decide his path. The chef, with tears in his eyes, desperately urges the protagonist to eat all the food he has carefully prepared, showing the depth of his sincere efforts. Meanwhile, the coin is tossed into the air, symbolizing the moment fate will decide the protagonist's next move. Tension rises as everyone watches the coin's unpredictable trajectory. The sides of the coin carry deep symbolism. The obverse shows the kingdom's castle, while the reverse features a fierce dragon, representing the strongest. The protagonist resolves that if heads lands, he will fight his instinct to avoid ruin and try to get along with Alan. But if tails appears, just as the tension lingers, a familiar figure steps forward with a confident smile, holding something out. He calls out to Weiss to return a lost object, breaking the moment with a light-hearted greeting despite his recent and harsh defeat. Their exchange reveals a deeper truth beneath the surface. One confesses to wanting to see the other again, while the other confesses it was the desire to fight again that truly drove him. The tension eases as understanding settles between them, marked by a subtle and knowing smile. With a confident smile, he holds up the coin featuring the fierce dragon and declares, "Me too, Alan," revealing his eagerness to take on the challenge alongside his rival. The battle intensifies as a fierce explosion erupts between the two combatants, one launching a powerful attack with a roar. The force throws the opponent back, caught off guard and crying out in shock. Meanwhile, spectators and officials intervene, declaring the fight over with a firm command. The announcement cuts through the tension. Chris Schlegel is declared expelled, leaving him bruised and breathless. The crowd erupts in shouts of amazement, the weight of the decision being felt as the fight comes to an abrupt halt. With a swift and decisive blow, the protagonist delivers a powerful strike, sending his opponent staggering from the shock and pain. The intensity of the moment is evident as the defeated man screams in pain, standing tall and resolute. The winner is officially declared expelled, marking a dramatic end to the confrontation. One by one, the defeated fighters are declared expelled, their bruised bodies slumped or broken following the clash. The harsh verdict echoes through the clearing, leaving a grim silence as the reality of their losses sinks in. Even amidst the chaos, stunned voices comment on the brutal scene, unable to fully grasp the scale of the devastation. The momentum shifts as allies acknowledge Weiss's impressive streak of 6 expulsions, quickly devising a strategy to outflank the enemy and divert their attention. Orders are given with urgency, and the team launches into coordinated action. Meanwhile, the protagonist prepares himself, feeling a renewed determination fueled by gratitude and resolve. As the countdown grimly reaches 22, the young girl clings to a fragile hope, tearfully pleading for help while admitting she is already at her limit. A dark voice urges her to keep moving forward, even if they are no longer there to support her. What fate awaits this young girl, trapped in a relentless race against time before her inevitable expulsion? It has been a month since registration took place, and already 10 students have dropped out. The protagonist reveals with a confident smile that he is responsible for the departure of 7 of them. The rankings are out, and Weiss Vincent has taken first place in every field, from magic defense to stealth and tracking training. The news leaves everyone stunned, their whispers filling the room as they realize the protagonist's unexpected dominance. Duke Billion, Cheryl's childhood friend, cannot hide his frustration as he asks what kind of training Weiss followed to become so strong. He recalls how Weiss effortlessly slipped through Cheryl's magic threads during yesterday's flag battle, leaving everyone in disbelief. In a flash, Weiss crushed Alan and seized the flag before anyone could react, securing a crushing victory. His rapid dominance left no doubt. He claimed first place for the entire year by a considerable margin. Duke Billion loses his temper, asking how much virtue Weiss accumulated in his previous life, his frustration boiling over. Weiss calmly tells the Duke to be quiet, brushing off his outburst. Meanwhile, Alan quietly admits his defeat to Weiss once again. Apologizing to his friends, Cheryl offers a supportive response, encouraging Alan not to worry and to aim for victory next time, her gaze sharp and determined. The protagonist forces himself to stay calm despite the pressure, silently repeating, "Everything is fine." He reflects on how the bitterness and sneaky actions of his past drove others to hate him and ultimately led to his downfall. But now, he is determined to face his emotions openly and fairly, confident that he has no reason to be hated this time. The protagonist nervously begs for leniency, feeling Cheryl's intense and inflexible gaze burning into him. Her stern expression leaves no room for doubt. Her judgment weighs heavily on him. The tension is palpable as he trembles under her silent but threatening scrutiny. Carta Viole gently insists that she is fine, her expression calm but distant, despite her words. The weight of the moment hangs heavily between them. The tension thickens as the cold response cuts through the air, leaving no room for comfort or doubt. In the original story, she was expelled after the next exam, but her frustration fueled her determination to push her best friend to get serious and aim for graduation. That was how the side story unfolded, revealing the harsh consequences that followed. She will quietly leave this place without leaving any particular mark, fading away unnoticed. Meanwhile, whispers and mockery begin as others speculate about her plans for the next exam, foreshadowing the challenges to come. Rumors circulate as classmates mockingly confirm that her troublesome best friend has already been expelled, laughing at the humiliating defeat she suffered at the hands of Weiss. The protagonist's shock deepens as cruel gossip sweeps the room, leaving her stunned and speechless. Amidst the tension, a surprising offer arises as he reaches out, asking if she wants to team up for the next exam. The unexpected proposal leaves her wide-eyed and caught off guard, suggesting a new alliance that could change everything. Still in shock, she hesitantly asks why Weiss would want to team up with someone like her, doubting their compatibility given her precarious position and his rank as top of the class. Despite her insecurities and the looming threat of expulsion, Weiss's unexpected offer hangs in the air, suggesting a partnership that could defy expectations. A dark silhouette mysteriously emerges from the forest, drawing the attention of a nearby girl whose expression shifts from curiosity to alarm. Meanwhile, another girl reacts nervously to the sudden tension, prompting a worried question from a boy beside her. The atmosphere thickens as the sinister presence draws closer, leaving everyone on edge. Weiss addresses the concern regarding his fiancée with a confident smile, assuring that Cynthia understands his partnership with another girl is purely strategic. He reveals Cynthia's ambition for him to be the best in the academy, presenting the alliance as a necessary means to that end. Meanwhile, Carta's shock persists as Weiss prepares to give more explanations. Weiss bluntly states that he is not trying to help out of kindness and does not have time to pity those who get expelled, but warns Carta that it would be a true waste if she were to fail. Meanwhile, Carta is surprised to realize that Cynthia is nowhere to be found, wondering if it was just her imagination. The scene shifts to a distant view as Weiss acknowledges Carta's impressive flight magic. Weiss explains that even skilled mages struggle to manipulate this magic, so it would be a waste for someone like Carta, who controls it so well, to go unnoticed. He reveals that teaming up with her is the most efficient choice for the upcoming exam. Meanwhile, Carta is startled, convinced she saw Cynthia just moments ago and insists it was not her imagination. Weiss smiles confidently, acknowledging Carta's impressive detection ability with a teasing he. Visibly impressed by her skills, meanwhile, Carta tightly grips her staff, still uneasy and on alert as she processes Weiss's words and presence. Weiss questions Carta's sharp perception, noting her ability to detect weak magic that even he cannot discern. Yet, he points out that she missed the presence of Lilith, a mistress of assassination techniques, catching Carta off guard and leaving her visibly stunned. She reveals that the next beacon battle will be a joint exam for all 3 school years, and Weiss has devised a winning strategy by partnering with someone possessing a special ability, Carta. Despite his own strength and Cynthia's, Weiss prefers to team up with Carta, leaving the protagonist caught between the two confident women as they encourage her to join forces with Weiss. Caught between the teasing voices of Weiss and Cynthia, the protagonist is overwhelmed and troubled, sweat and tears betraying her nervousness. Weiss then firmly announces his decision to team up with her, emphasizing the urgency to begin their special training immediately before the exam. The protagonist and Carta stand face to face in a quiet clearing, the weight of their upcoming training settling between them. Carta tightly grips her staff, her expression a mix of determination and vulnerability. As the special training begins, the pressure of the exam weighs heavily, leaving Carta unexpectedly moved to tears. The striking contrast between their flight magic is immediately evident. As if they belong to entirely different worlds, Weiss observes, marveling at the vast difference between their abilities. As they walk through the forest, Weiss reflects on flight magic, admitting it is a difficult skill to master. However, a confident smile reveals that he is finally starting to get used to it. Carta Viol, a seasoned user of flight magic, mockingly reminds Weiss that he couldn't even stay in the air for 2 seconds. Despite her playful jab, a hint of encouragement can be felt behind her words. Weiss explains that this moment is a rare opportunity to learn flight magic, believing that any magic can be a powerful weapon depending on how it is used. He sees no harm in acquiring this knowledge, especially since he has Carta, a qualified flight teacher, by his side. Weiss admits that he dragged Carta into something unrelated to the exam, hoping she could teach him flight magic. He promises to help her pass the exam and asks if she will continue to train him afterward. Carta's discreet smile suggests she is amused by his determination despite the rumors. Carta's expression softens when she realizes how hard Weiss works. With a warm smile, she agrees to help him, showing a new respect and a willingness to support his journey. Although rumors depict him as a lazy and shameful noble, the truth is quite different. He is a diligent apprentice, always eager to explore new things. Inspired by this, someone admires him discreetly from afar, wishing to be like Weiss Vincent. Principal Gills examines Weiss's exam results, expressing disbelief at such a high score from a lower-class student. He notes that Weiss single-handedly eliminated more than half of the expelled students, highlighting his remarkable talent within an already exceptional group. The one who surprised him most was Darius's apprentice, Alan. Despite repeated failures, he never gave up and grew stronger with every return. His relentless determination left a lasting impression, setting him apart from the others. Lilith and Cynthia clash violently, their swords clashing while their intense gazes reveal the determination driving their fight. The tension between them crackles in the air, each refusing to give in. The growth of these fighters has been astonishing, reaching heights that once seemed impossible upon their enrollment. Their rapid progression is evident as they unleash powerful attacks that dominate the battlefield. Their training was relentless, pushing them to their limits without the protection of reinforced equipment. Engaging in deadly combat with real swords, every strike carried the weight of life or death. The brutal training, a matter of life or death, pushed them beyond their limits, forging their strength through pure will and incessant combat. Their fierce battle leaves no room for mercy, each strike witnessing their hardened resolution. Exhausted and bloodied, they are proof of how far they have come. After their grueling fight, one warrior channels healing magic to treat the other's wounds, their mutual respect shining through the exhaustion and injuries. They exchange sincere words of admiration, each recognizing the other's strength. With renewed determination, Alan vows to become even stronger, setting the stage for what is to come. Alan expresses a deep desire to stand by Weiss's side, not as a disciple, but as a proud and strong equal. Another warrior shares the same determination, swearing to become stronger for the sake of Weiss-sama. Both are resolved to become someone reliable and powerful enough to protect Weiss when danger arises. Despite their warm smiles and compliments, a darker resolution hides behind them as they acknowledge their current strength while mentioning a more cunning plan. Their immediate goal is clear: to distance the girl Carta from his side, setting the stage for a new challenge. At dawn, an ominous chill fills the air, foreshadowing the tension beneath the surface. The scene shifts to a crowded courtyard where the long-awaited exam is about to begin. Duke Billion steps forward, signaling the start with a call to leave the result to chance via rock, paper, scissors, setting an unexpected tone for the challenge ahead. The rules are announced with surprising simplicity. Whoever loses at rock, paper, scissors must team up with a random stranger for the exam. Despite the tension, Alan accepts with a confident, "Okay." While his companion sighs at all the commotion, the pairs prepare as the countdown begins, ready to be transported to Mount Gariel for the next stage. The pair confirms their plan to target the upper-class students with the most points. Ready to eliminate them as agreed, weapons in hand, they prepare to face the challenge, exchanging a determined look before the exam truly begins. From this moment, the third-year students step forward, their confident expressions and ready weapons signaling the real intensity of the challenge ahead. The atmosphere thickens as these formidable pairs prepare to face the exam together. The survival tag test officially begins as each pair stares each other down with fierce determination. Tension rises, the competitors signaling their readiness and resolution to dominate the exam. The battle for survival begins now, setting the stage for intense confrontations to come. The scene shifts to a strange sight by the beach. A woman lounges nonchalantly in a hammock, while a man in pirate attire stands on a doghouse attached to another man crawling on all fours, who nervously begs for mercy. Nearby, 3 unconscious figures lie on the sand, suggesting a recent skirmish. Meanwhile, the woman remembers a forgotten plan, her expression changing as a sudden realization strikes her. Suddenly, one of the young warriors is struck by a powerful electrical force, dropping his sword and screaming in pain. His companions quickly turn around, alarmed by this unexpected attack. Tension rises as they try to understand what just happened. The sudden cry echoes while the scene shifts to a bird in flight, symbolizing the chaos unfolding below. Meanwhile, 2 young warriors lie defeated on the ground, their swords abandoned, as a third stands over them, signaling that lower-class students number 27 Vivid and number 31 Ariel have been taken out of combat. The 2 fallen warriors lie motionless on the ground, their swords abandoned as they are sent back to the Noblesse Magic Academy. Nearby, 2 arrogant opponents exchange a knowing look, mocking the lower-class students for succumbing to such a simple trap. Their confidence shines through as they dismiss the challenge with a cruel laugh. The conversation turns to rumors concerning an extraordinary new lower-class student who recently enrolled. Though one of them dismisses these discussions as exaggerated and meaningless, despite the skepticism, they acknowledge that many of the top students from their year have already dropped out. Curiosity grows as they try to recall the name of this mysterious student. Weiss Vincent. With an assured press of his finger, the protagonist effortlessly sends his opponent flying through the air, demonstrating his overwhelming skill. Meanwhile, a smirk forms on his face, fully aware of the advantage he holds in this battle. His calm but imposing presence leaves no doubt. He is a force to be reckoned with. With a sharp declaration, the announcer proclaims the defeat of middle-class student number 10, Liddy, signaling that she is out of combat. The protagonist stands firmly, unleashing a powerful fire attack that overwhelms his opponent. leaving no doubt about his dominance in the fight. With a swift and unexpected movement, the protagonist lunges from above, catching his opponent completely off guard. The stunned challenger struggles to understand where the attack came from, while the hero's confident smile reveals that he is always one step ahead. The intense fire element spell, cast effortlessly and without incantation, reveals the true talent of a superior class student. The star insignia on his shoulder marks him as one of the best, confirming the overwhelming strength our hero faces. Recognizing this, the protagonist prepares himself, ready to unleash his full power. With a quick leap, the protagonist activates Unnatural Wall, a glowing rectangular barrier beneath his feet that seems to defy logic. His opponent's cry echoes, demanding to be reduced to ashes. But the hero's calm and calculated attitude shows he is ready to counter any attack. In a burst of speed, the protagonist dashes forward, sword drawn, seeking to close the distance before the fireball can reach him. Meanwhile, the opponent looks on in shock at the flaming orb hovering dangerously in the air, crackling with heat. The opponent is stunned, realizing that the protagonist changed direction mid-air with incredible precision. His shock turns to disbelief as the hero quickly closes in, sword ready to strike. The intensity of the moment builds as the fireball hovers above them, adding urgency to the attack. With precise timing, the protagonist's strike shatters the opponent's defense, throwing him back in a burst of force. The hero lands smoothly, unshaken and ready for the next move, his unnatural wall still glowing beneath him. The battlefield shifts as the opponent staggers from the unexpected blow. Although unable to master flight magic, the protagonist discovered a new technique by blending darkness, light, and a non-attribute to create a transparent barrier. He calls this creation the Unnatural Wall, illustrating his innovative approach to combat. The protagonist demonstrates his new ability to summon the unnatural wall in midair and use it as a foothold. However, he explains that the higher he goes, the more magic it consumes, which limits its height despite its brief duration. This technique significantly expands his tactical options. The opponent, caught off guard, swings his sword violently against the shimmering unnatural wall. His expression a mix of shock and frustration. Nearby, another ally watches in disbelief as a glowing projectile streaks toward the barrier, letting out a desperate cry of confusion. The hero's innovative defense continues to disrupt their attacks, leaving them struggling to understand this new threat. The protagonist's attack strikes with devastating force, sending his superior class opponent flying and putting him out of combat. The stunned ally watches helplessly as the battle quickly turns in the hero's favor. Despite the victory, the protagonist expresses a hint of regret, quietly apologizing to Weiss. The flying mage Cardaviol reveals that she attacked because she was signaling the arrival of another group, which Weiss had not noticed. Her calm explanation hints at her high vigilance and quick decision-making in combat. The newcomer analyzes the protagonist's defensive magic, recognizing it as a rare technique combining light and shadow, but notes that its lack of efficiency limits repeated use. With a mocking smile, he challenges Weiss, warning her not to become too arrogant after defeating his ally and boasting that his database attacks guarantee her defeat. The newcomer tosses his glasses aside with a wild smile, claiming that his combat ability increases exactly 14 times without them. His confidence radiates as he prepares to unleash a powerful attack, leaving Weiss and the others tense and vigilant. As tension reaches its peak, the protagonist summons a powerful healing spell, Dark Heal, enveloping the battlefield in a burst of radiant energy. The newcomer's strength suddenly begins to drain, leaving him shocked and helpless as his glasses fall to the ground. Confused and desperate, he realizes that this technique is not in his data and demands answers. The protagonist, calm and confident, warns him to do his research properly before jumping into battle. With a fierce war cry, the newcomer lunges forward, sword raised high, ready to strike with renewed determination, despite his previous defeat. His wild smile shows he is far from giving up. Tension on the battlefield skyrockets as he charges headlong into the fight once more. With an arrogant smile, he urges Carda to hurry, boasting that they are about to sweep up all the points from the seniors thanks to their momentary lapse in attention. Carda appears tense, caught off guard by his audacity. As the two walk into a rocky and tranquil clearing, a sudden greeting breaks the silence. From the shadows, two figures emerge, calling them by name with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. The atmosphere shifts, foreshadowing an important encounter about to take place. With a confident smile, Lilith boldly challenges them, requesting the honor of a duel. Cynthia stands by her side, beaming with determination. While their opponents exchange tense looks, bracing for the battle ahead, The air crackles with anticipation as this unexpected confrontation begins to take shape. With a powerful strike, first-year student number 8, Myphis, delivers a decisive blow, sending his opponent crashing to the ground. The impact is so strong that the opponent is declared unable to continue. With the first-year students dominating the situation, the second and third years have completely stopped showing up for combat. The atmosphere shifts as it becomes clear that only the newcomers remain on the battlefield. The constant announcements from magical birds signaling fallen students put everyone on edge, indicating the presence of a formidable opponent. Our hero smiles with confidence, knowing that no matter where the others flee, they will not escape his reach. Tension rises as he pursues them rapidly, moving through the dense forest with unwavering determination. A new strategy is announced from above. Forget the first years and focus instead on hunting the second and third year students. The young girl below, eyes wide with determination, quickly nods to the plan. She reflects on her alliance with Carta, revealing it is due to the latter's unique abilities. The flight magic they are facing is so complex that even seasoned mages struggle to control it. But combined with her extraordinary detection ability, she can spot a hidden third-year student nearby, someone who has mastered the art of concealing their magic. With a confident smile, he declares his departure and leaps into the air, ready to use flight magic and detection to scout a vast area. This aerial advantage will allow them to launch surprise attacks from above, making it harder for their enemies to anticipate or recognize him. A sudden and powerful strike takes a first-year student completely by surprise, sending him flying as he screams in pain. The precision and force of the attack leave no room for defense, proving just how deadly a surprise assault can be. Time is running out with only about 20 minutes remaining, and pressure builds as Weiss urges Carta to quickly find the third-year students. Despite their solid lead in points, tension rises as they debate whether to take more risks or play it safe. Tension skyrockets as one character panics, realizing their current points are far from sufficient. Another calmly explains the special privileges of the point system, emphasizing that higher ranks bring greater rewards. A detailed chart reveals the benefits linked to each rank, highlighting the stakes behind every point earned. As the newcomers advance toward higher classes, the number of students decreases while the ranks of B and A students increase. Yet, throughout the Academy's long history, no one has ever reached the elusive S rank. The revelation causes a shock when it becomes clear that Weiss might be aiming for this impossible S rank by targeting upper-class students. The shock is brutal when the protagonist declares that his goal is to reach B rank first, and not the elusive S rank for the time being. He reminds everyone of the luxurious benefits that come with B rank, including a private room and unlimited high-quality fruit delivered by room service. The revelation leaves the others stunned, struggling to process this unexpected ambition. The protagonist reminisces about a period approximately 1 year ago, during grueling Spartan training, where his only comfort was the dessert served after meals. As the training intensified, he gradually lost his sense of taste for fruit, until the day Zevis prepared something special just for him. The moment focuses on a slice of super premium melon, shining with an almost divine allure. This rare delicacy symbolizes the luxurious rewards awaiting those who reach B rank, a stark contrast to the rigorous Spartan training the protagonist endured. The sight of the melon revives the protagonist's lost sense of taste, marking a turning point in his journey. Driven by the memory of that divine melon, the protagonist decides to earn points from older students during the exam to savor that exquisite flavor once again. With burning determination in his eyes, he calls for unwavering cooperation until the end. Meanwhile, his companion, moved by this sincere plea and his puppy dog eyes, agrees to help, unaware that the true motivation behind this fierce drive is the promise of food. A sudden realization hits her. Her family cultivates the very mellow melons he yearns for. A mix of hope and nervousness washes over her as she wonders if revealing this secret might entice him to visit her hometown. Suddenly, a massive column of black smoke erupts from the ground, making the earth tremble beneath their feet. The two exchange alarmed looks, their expressions tense as the ominous rumble fills the air. The protagonist and his companion exchange grave words, acknowledging the terrifying truth. The ominous figure rising in the distance is a real monster, despite their determination. She admits with a heavy heart that defeating this enemy seems impossible. Just as they decide to flee, a radiant object suddenly catches their attention. Interrupting their escape, the protagonist steadies himself, landing firmly as tension cranks up, while his companion calls out to him in surprise. A new challenger bursts onto the scene with a wild smile and sword drawn, declaring the situation much more exciting than expected. The protagonist charges without hesitation, ready to face the monster head-on, leaving his companion stunned and worried. The protagonist approaches cautiously, sword in hand, as a serene figure sits calmly on a tree stump, surrounded by birds and bathed in soft sunlight. The peaceful scene contrasts sharply with the surrounding tension, foreshadowing an important encounter about to take place. A knowing smile and a calm voice break the silence, addressing the protagonist by name. A graceful young woman with long flowing hair adorned with a black rose stands there confidently. A small bird delicately perched on her finger. Her calm smile and poised demeanor radiate quiet strength. The text reveals her name. Eva Everil, a second-year student. The protagonist boldly challenges Eva Everil to a duel, his confident smile matching the strength of his declaration. Eva's smile widens with intrigue and delight, clearly pleased by the invitation from the famous Weisskuen. Her poised yet mischievous attitude hints at an exciting battle. Eva Everil stands in silhouette, a shadowy figure radiating undeniable power as she is declared the strongest student in the academy. Known as an official cheater and the true final boss, her overwhelming strength is described as an anomaly breaking the rules of the game, unlike anything seen before. With only 10 minutes left in the exam, the protagonist prepares himself, determined to fight now or never. Eva's confident smile reveals she is ready, as the stakes are clear. Defeat her to finally close this exam arc. The weight of facing the strongest character, undefeated and on the verge of leaving the academy, hangs heavily in the air. Tension builds as the protagonist calls out to Cheryl, who lies wounded on the ground, surrounded by two redoubtable opponents. He is reminded that he is the last one standing. The enemies coldly warn him not to take this fight personally, confident that defeating him will finally earn them recognition from Weiss. The exam is finally over, leaving behind a scorched and devastated battlefield. Two silhouettes stand apart amidst the destruction, the tension between them remaining palpable despite the end of the clash. With a calm but admiring smile, she acknowledges Eva Everil's incredible strength, a testament to the fierce struggle they have just waged. Despite the overwhelming power unleashed against her, no attack managed to reach her. The true strength behind this fight lies much deeper than simple brute force. With a mischievous smile, she admits to having lied, her confidence remaining unshakable. Meanwhile, the young man, sweat dripping down his face and a fierce look in his eyes, decides to stay at the academy a little longer, driven by a new determination. With a calm gesture, she announces the end of the exam and declares that all students will now be taken back to the Noblesse Magic Academy. The young man, still sweating but smiling with determination, accepts this fate as the charred battlefield begins to fade in the distance. Once again, a major change has been made to the scenario. Eva managed to avoid expulsion, securing her place at the academy, while Carta's hopeful smile shines brightly amidst the chatter of the crowd. The shocking sight of Cynthia and Lilith, bruised and leaning on each other for support, leaves everyone in disbelief. The young man struggles to understand how such fighters could have been defeated. His eyes wide with shock, despite the pain, discreet apologies escape, hinting at the heavy burden of this unexpected defeat. Wounded and exhausted, she admits her painful truth. She believed she was stronger, only to finally realize that her weakness caused this devastating outcome. Overwhelmed by guilt, she apologizes for dragging the others into her failure and for tarnishing Cynthia-sama's irreproachable combat record. The weight of defeat settles heavily as the two wounded fighters support each other, embodying both pain and resilience. Her confession breaks the silence. She desperately wanted to win. Against Alan, this revelation hits him full force, his shock and disbelief evident as he processes her words. In the background, the defeated fighters remain seated, the weight of the moment pressing down on everyone. The tension between the two rivals is palpable. One displays a tired and bruised expression, while the other smiles with a mix of relief and determination. Their contrasting emotions capture the complex aftermath of the battle, as the 3-year pair exam finally draws to a close. After the exam, life resumed its normal course at the academy, but with a new luxury thanks to the protagonist's promotion to rank B. For a time, peaceful days seemed to be ahead, offering a brief respite after this intense competition. Just as the class settles in, a mysterious woman arrives, introduced as a guest instructor, instantly captivating everyone's attention. The students react with surprise and admiration, while the protagonist's vision begins to blur, signaling an intense emotional or physical response. The atmosphere changes perceptibly, foreshadowing the importance of this new arrival.